Listen, I have been a toxicologist for the Galactic Health Coalition for 73 cycles. 73. I have studied venoms that could dissolve a battleship hull in under 5 minutes. I have cataloged poisons so lethal that even their molecular diagrams require level 9 containment clearance. I have watched organisms from 600 different worlds succumb to toxins that would make your nightmares weep, but nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the day I met Vance. The whole mess started on Station Helix 9, a research outpost orbiting the fourth moon of Talaxis Prime. The station was one of those joint species operations, you know the type, everybody pretending to get along, sharing resources, making grand speeches about unity while secretly thinking their own species is obviously superior. I was there representing the Quillex sovereignty, running routine toxicity assessments on newly discovered fauna from the outer territories. My lab partner, a 6-limbed Dranathi named Vorik, had just brought in our latest sample, a scarlet fang serpent from the jungles of Kelros 7. Beautiful creature, really. If you like things that can kill you by looking at you funny, its scales shimmered like liquid rubies under the lab lights, and its venom sacs pulsed with a bioluminescent glow that would have been mesmerizing if it wasn't so absolutely terrifying. This is the one, Vorik chittered, his mandibles clicking with excitement. His translator rendered it in that annoyingly enthusiastic tone he always used when he found something particularly deadly. Preliminary scans show neurotoxic potency levels at 97.4%, hemotoxic compounds at 89%. Cytotoxic properties off the charts. I adjusted my protective gear and ran my scanning device over the containment field. The readouts made my thorax tighten with professional dread. By the eternal void, I breathed, checking the numbers twice. 3 times. Vorik, this venom could drop a Thorian battle beast in less than 8 seconds. A Quillax like me. Maybe 3 seconds, if I'm lucky. 2.7 seconds actually, Vorik corrected helpfully. I ran the calculations 5 times. The scarlet fang serpent coiled tighter in its containment sphere, tongue flicking out to taste the recycled air. We had collected exactly 47 milliliters of its venom, each drop more lethal than the last. The extraction process alone had required 4 automated drones and 2 backup containment fields because nobody with any sense gets within striking distance of these things. That is when she walked in. I did not notice her at first. I was too busy running molecular breakdown analyses on the venom compounds. But Vorik's sudden stillness caught my attention. All 6 of his limbs had frozen mid-gesture, which for a Dranathi is the equivalent of a full system shutdown. He said, which was never a good sign. Dr. Velkrin, we have a visitor. I looked up. She was human. Young. Maybe 20-something in their years. Though I have never been great at estimating human ages. They all look like smooth-skinned babies to me until suddenly they are ancient and collapsing. She had dark hair pulled back in what humans call a ponytail, brown skin, and the kind of casual confidence that immediately made my survival instincts start screaming. She wore a standard station jumpsuit, the kind maintenance crew used, with the name Vance stitched across the chest. In one hand she carried a toolkit, in the other, a half-eaten sandwich that smelled like something had died and been resurrected specifically to offend my olfactory sensors. "Hey," she said, pointing at the ceiling with her sandwich. "You guys got a ventilation issue in here? I am supposed to check the air recyclers on this level." "This is a restricted laboratory," I said, trying to sound authoritative while also wondering how in the name of the ancestors she had gotten past 3 security checkpoints. "All maintenance requests must be submitted 72 hours in advance with proper clearance codes." Yeah, I got the emergency override," she interrupted, waving her toolkit vaguely. "Something about toxin containment protocols requiring immediate inspection. Look, I do not make the rules, I just fix the broken stuff before it kills people." Vorik and I exchanged glances. My translator could not quite capture his expression, but I am pretty sure it was the Dranathi equivalent of "Is this really happening right now?" "Fine," I sighed, gesturing toward the ventilation panels. "But stay away from the containment fields. We are working with extremely dangerous biological materials." And I did not finish that sentence because Vance had already walked right past the warning holograms, the safety barriers, and every single piece of equipment specifically designed to keep the scarlet fang serpent separated from anything with a functioning circulatory system. She stopped directly in front of the primary containment field. "Whoa," she said, leaning closer. "That is a cool-looking snake. What is it?" "It is a scarlet fang serpent," Vorik said weakly. "From Kelros 7. Please step back from the containment field." Its venom is lethally toxic to 99.8% of known species. Huh? Kira tilted her head, studying the serpent with genuine interest. What about the other 0.2%? They die slightly slower, I said flatly. Now please, for the love of every deity and every known religion, step away from the highly unstable venomous creature. She did step back, for about 2 seconds. Then she noticed the venom storage unit. This is where I should explain something about human curiosity. Every species has it to some degree, right? The desire to poke at things, to figure out how they work, to answer the eternal question of, but what if I touched it? Most species develop this curiosity alongside a healthy sense of self-preservation. Humans did not get that second part. Is that the venom? Kira asked, pointing at the reinforced crystal container that held our 47 milliliters of liquid death. Yes, I said slowly. Sealed in a level 8 containment vessel. Triple redundancy locks. Biometric scanners. Molecular stabilization field. Basically every safety feature we could fit on something the size of a water bottle, because that venom could kill everyone on this station if it got loose. Cool, she said. Then I swear on my ancestors' shells, she added. Can I see it? Absolutely not. Come on, just a quick look. I have never seen alien venom before. There is a reason for that. Vorik chittered, his translator rendering his panic in high-pitched squeaks. Because looking at it means being near it, and being near it means potential exposure, and potential exposure means dying in horrible agony while your organs liquefy. Kira shrugged. I will be careful. Before either of us could stop her, she had pulled out some kind of maintenance override device from her toolkit, and was scanning the containment vessel's locking mechanism. What are you doing? I practically shrieked, rushing forward. Relax. I am just checking the seal integrity, she said. Part of the safety inspection. Making sure nothing is going to leak. And kill everyone. The seal integrity is fine. I grabbed for her arm, trying to pull her away. It is specifically designed to be tamper-proof, which means you cannot just... The containment vessel's outer lock clicked open. Time slowed down in that special way it does right before disasters happen. I saw Vorik's mandibles spread wide in horror. I saw the secondary lock disengage. I saw Kira Vance reach for the reinforced crystal container with the casual confidence of someone who has never experienced consequences, and then I saw her hand slip. The container tilted. The venom, that beautiful, terrible, absolutely lethal venom, sloshed toward the opening. My life flashed before my eyes, all 73 cycles of it, and I found myself thinking, this is a stupid way to die. Kira caught the container at the last second. She righted it carefully and set it back in its cradle. The locks re-engaged with a soft hiss. There we go, she said cheerfully. Seal looks good. No cracks, no degradation. You guys are all set. I could not speak. My translator was probably rendering the strangled sounds coming from my breathing spiracles as something like k. Vorik managed actual words. You almost spilled enough venom to kill 30,000 people, but I did not, Kira pointed out reasonably. Because I caught it. You are welcome, by the way. She picked up her toolkit and headed for the ventilation panel, apparently considering the matter closed. I watched her go, my mind's trying to process what had just happened. Humans, I decided, were absolutely insane. That would have been the end of it. A strange encounter, sure, but nothing that would make it into any reports. Vorik and I would have gone back to our research, Kira would have fixed whatever she came to fix, and we all would have continued our lives on separate tracks. But the universe, as I have learned, has a twisted sense of humor. 2 hours later, my communicator chirped with an emergency signal. Station-wide. Alert. Medical bay. All available personnel report immediately. I am not medical personnel technically, but toxicologist is close enough in an emergency. I grabbed my field kit and ran, my 8 legs carrying me through the corridors at maximum speed. Vorik was right behind me, his translator muttering prayers in 6 different languages. The medical bay was chaos. Not the organized kind, where people know what they are doing and are just busy. The bad kind, where nobody knows what is happening and everyone is panicking about it. A human medical officer, someone named Dr. Ellis, grabbed me the second I entered. You are the toxicologist, right? From the Quillix lab? Yes, I am Dr. Velkrin. What happened? Snakebite, Ellis said grimly. We have got a patient who was bitten by something, and she is not responding to any of our standard antivenoms. Respiratory distress, cardiovascular collapse. The works. I need to know what we are dealing with. My stomach sank. Where was she bitten? Lower level, near the cargo bays. Apparently, something got loose from one of the specimen shipments. No, No. They pushed past Ellis and into the main treatment room. A female Zenthari was on the primary medbed, surrounded by medical equipment that was all flashing very urgent red colors. Her scales had gone from their usual blue to a sickly gray, and she was barely breathing. Symptoms. I snapped, falling into professional mode because panicking would not help anyone. Neurotoxic shock, another medic reported. Paralysis spreading from the bite site. Hemorrhaging in multiple organs. We have tried every broad-spectrum antivenom in the database, but nothing is working. I scanned the bite marks. 2 puncture wounds perfectly spaced. My heart sank even further. That is a Scarlet fang serpent bite. The one from my lab. The room went very, very quiet. How lethal are we talking? Ellis asked. Fatal within minutes. I said. The venom attacks the nervous system, the blood, the cellular structure itself. There is no antivenom because the venom is too complex, too aggressive. I am sorry, but unless we can synthesize a counteragent in the next. I checked my chronometer. 4 minutes. There is nothing we can do. 4 minutes? Ellis looked at the Zenthari patient, then back at me. Are you saying she is going to die in 4 minutes? Actually, probably less. Vorik chimed in helpfully from the doorway. Zenthari physiology is particularly vulnerable to hemotoxins. That is when I heard a voice from the secondary treatment area. A familiar voice. Hey, Doc. I am going to need some water. My throat feels weird. I turned slowly, dread pooling in my digestive tract. Kira Vance sat on one of the exam benches, looking mildly uncomfortable but very much alive. Her right arm had 2 puncture wounds just below the elbow, still oozing a mix of blood and venom. You, I said faintly. You were bitten too? Yeah, she said, rotating her arm to look at the wound. Is that bad? I mean, it hurts, but I have had worse. This one time at my cousin's farm, I stepped on a wasp nest. How long ago? I interrupted, racing over to her. How long ago were you bitten? She thought about it. Maybe 20 minutes. I came straight here after I finished fixing the vent system. There was a snake in the cargo bay, really pretty red one, and it got a bit bitey when I tried to move it back to wherever it escaped from. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. The Zenthari patient had been bitten maybe 5 minutes ago and was currently dying. That is impossible, I said, scanning Kira's vitals. The Scarlet fang serpent venom should have killed you in under 3 minutes. 20 minutes is she going to be okay? Ellis asked, already preparing emergency protocols. I stared at my scanner. Kira's vitals were normal. Completely, perfectly, boringly normal. Elevated heart rate. But that was probably from walking through the station. No neurotoxic shock. No hemorrhaging. No cellular breakdown. Her blood pressure was better than mine, and I had not been pumped full of lethal venom. I do not understand, I muttered, running the scan again. This should not be possible. The venom should be destroying your nervous system right now. Maybe I am immune, Kira suggested. I have always been pretty good with poisons. One time I ate this sketchy street food on Earth, and everyone else got food poisoning, but I was fine. Is it like that? No, I practically shouted. This is not food poisoning. This is one of the most lethal biological toxins in known space. You should be dead. Very, very dead. She looked at her arm again. Well, I feel okay. Bit tired, maybe. Bit tired. I turned to Ellis. Get me a venom sample from her bloodstream. Now, and prepare a synthesis lab. If her body is producing some kind of natural counteragent, we might be able to save the other patient. The next few minutes were a blur of medical equipment, urgent voices, and me trying very hard not to have a complete mental breakdown. We extracted blood samples from Kira, analyzed them, and discovered something that would later require 6 peer-reviewed papers and 3 academic conferences to fully explain. Her immune system was not fighting the venom. Her body was just ignoring it. Like it was a mild irritant instead of a lethal toxin. The venom was still there, floating around in her bloodstream, but her cells were somehow processing it, breaking it down and neutralizing it faster than it could cause damage. Humans, Vorik whispered, staring at the analysis results. What are humans? We synthesized a counteragent from Kira's blood and administered it to the Zenthari patient. Within minutes, her vitals stabilized. Within an hour, she was conscious and complaining about the medical bay's temperature. She would make a full recovery. Kira, meanwhile, had gotten bored and left to finish her maintenance rounds. I found her 2 hours later, eating another terrible-smelling sandwich in the station cafeteria. Hey, she said, waving. Am I going to need to fill out paperwork for the snakebite thing? I sat down across from her, all 8 of my legs suddenly feeling very tired. Miss Vance, do you understand what happened today? I got bitten by a snake, went to medical, and you guys fixed the problem? She took another bite of sandwich. Pretty standard Tuesday, honestly. You survived venom that should have killed you in seconds, I said slowly. You were exposed to one of the most lethal toxins we have ever studied, and you barely noticed. Your blood saved another person's life. This is not standard anything, she shrugged. Humans are pretty tough, I guess. My dad always said we have got good genes. His grandfather survived 3 heart attacks and still lived to 90. I stared at her. She stared back, chewing her sandwich. I'm going to need to run more tests, I said finally. A lot more tests. With your permission, of course. Will it take long? I have got a date tomorrow night. Miss Vance, you might be the key to developing antivenoms for toxins that currently have no cure. This could save billions of lives. She considered this. Okay, but I still need to make my date. This guy is really cute, and we are going to try that new Zenthari restaurant on level 12. That is how Kira Vance became my most important research subject and the reason I started drinking the human beverage called coffee at very concerning volumes. But that was just the beginning of the story, because 3 days later something much worse than a snakebite would happen. Something that would make the Scarlet Fang serpent incident look like a minor inconvenience, and it would all start with a knocked-over cup of liquid death and a very unfortunate question. The next 3 days were a special kind of educational nightmare. I ran every test I could think of on Kira Vance. Blood samples, tissue biopsies, genetic mapping, metabolic analysis, the works. Each result was more baffling than the last. Her immune system was not special. It was terrifyingly normal. For a human anyway. Which apparently meant it could casually brush off things that would make a Thorian warlord weep for mercy. I documented everything, cross-referenced with the galactic medical database, and slowly came to a horrifying realization. Humans were not just tough, they were walking biological tanks wrapped in soft, squishy skin that lied about how durable they actually were. Vorik found me on the 3rd day staring at my data screens with what he later described as the expression of someone whose entire worldview has been shattered. Still processing the human thing? He asked, settling his 6 limbs into a resting position. Do you know what I found in the literature? I said, not looking away from the screen. Humans regularly consume ethanol. On purpose. For fun. Ethanol. Vorik. A substance that is literally classified as a poison. They drink it at social gatherings and call it entertainment. I have heard about this. Vorik admitted. They call it alcohol. They have competitions, I continued, my voice rising slightly, to see who can consume the most poison before their body forces them to stop. And this is considered normal behavior. Dr. Velkrin, maybe you should take a break from, their planet is 70% dihydrogen monoxide. Vorik, do you know what dihydrogen monoxide does to most species? It is corrosive. The Zenthari have to wear protective gear just to stand in rain, and humans swim in it. They bathe in it daily. Some of them do it multiple times a day. That is just water. Vorik said carefully. Most species need water, not in those concentrations. I gestured wildly at my screen. And do not get me started on their atmosphere. 21% oxygen. Oxygen. Vorik, one of the most reactive elements in the periodic table. It is literally causing their bodies to slowly oxidize and decay, and they just breathe it all day like it is nothing. You are spiraling. Vorik observed. I am having a breakthrough, I corrected. Humans evolved on a death world. Everything about their biology is designed to survive in conditions that would kill most of us. The venom resistance is not special. It is just another Tuesday for them. That is when my communicator chirped again. Another emergency signal. My organs clenched. Please tell me nothing else has escaped from the specimen labs, I muttered, checking the message. It was not an escape. It was worse. Much worse. The message was from Dr. Ellis in the medical bay. Dr. Velkrin, we need you immediately. Miss Vance has been exposed to a Class 7 toxic substance. Please bring all available antivenom protocols. I looked at Vorik. He looked at me. We both started running. By the time we reached the medical bay, my minds were racing through every horrible possibility. Class 7 toxins were the serious stuff. The kind that required specialized containment and multiple safety certifications just to study. What could Kira have possibly gotten into? The scene I found was somehow both better and worse than I expected. Kira was not on a medical bed. She was sitting in a chair in the treatment area, looking confused and mildly annoyed. Standing next to her was a Vraxian security officer named Torque, who appeared to be having what humans call a panic attack. His scales had flushed purple, which in Vraxian body language meant something between extreme stress and imminent systemic failure. Dr. Ellis was pacing, his tablet clutched in white-knuckled hands. 3 other medical staff hovered nearby, looking like they were waiting for someone to explode. "What happened?" I demanded, immediately scanning Kira for signs of poisoning. "She drank it," Torque said faintly. "She just picked it up and drank it." "Drank what?" Ellis held up an empty vial. I recognized it immediately. My digestive system tried to tie itself into knots. It was a sample container for Vraxian spine toad secretions. Class 7 neurotoxin. Fatal to basically everyone. The vial should have been in secure storage in the xenobiology lab, not in the medical bay, and definitely not empty. "That is impossible," I said, checking the label 3 times. "This toxin causes immediate respiratory paralysis. Even skin contact requires emergency intervention. Ingestion is considered universally fatal." "Yeah, about that," Kira said, holding up her hand. In my defense, I thought it was juice. Everyone in the room turned to stare at her. "Juice," I repeated slowly. "It was in the break room fridge," she explained. "In a container that looked like the bottles we use for energy drinks. It was bright blue. Blue drinks are usually berry-flavored. I was thirsty. I drank it." She paused. "It tasted terrible, by the way. Like battery acid and sadness." "How do you know what battery acid tastes like?" Vorik asked, which was not the important question, but honestly I was curious too. "Shop class accident in high school. Not important right now." Kira looked at Ellis. "Why is everyone freaking out? Is blue drink bad?" "It was not a drink," Torque practically wailed. "It was a toxin sample. I was transporting it from the xenobiology lab to the secure storage facility. I stopped to use the restroom for 1 minute. 1 minute. And when I came back you were drinking it." "Oh," Kira said. She thought about this. "That explains the taste." I ran my scanner over her again. Then again. Then a 3rd time. Because surely the equipment was malfunctioning. Her vitals were normal. Completely normal. No, respiratory distress. No neural degradation. No cellular breakdown. Nothing. The toxin that should have stopped her lungs in under 30 seconds had apparently decided to just not do that. "How much did you drink?" I asked, my voice coming out higher than intended. "All of it," Kira said. "Like I said, I was really thirsty." "Is that bad?" "Is that bad?" I looked at Torque. "How much was in the container?" 40 milliliters, he whispered. "Concentrated formula, enough to kill 100 people. 40 milliliters. She had consumed 40 milliliters of class 7 neurotoxin, and she was complaining about the taste. "Miss Vance," I said, sitting down because my legs were not working properly anymore. "What you just drank could kill everyone in this medical bay 20 times over. Do you understand?" "But I feel fine," she insisted. "I mean, my stomach feels a bit weird, but that might just be the sandwich I had earlier. That egg salad was kind of sus." "Your stomach feels weird," Ellis repeated. "Your stomach feels weird." "Yeah, like indigestion. Do you have antacids?" I put my head in my manipulators. This was my life now. This was what I did. I watched humans casually survive things that would make seasoned warriors soil themselves in terror. "We need blood samples," I said to Ellis. "Full toxicology panel. And someone get me access to the human medical database. All of it. I need to understand what is happening here." The analysis took 2 hours. 2 very long hours where I questioned every decision I had ever made that led to this moment. The results were simultaneously fascinating and absolutely maddening. Kira's liver was processing the toxin. Just processing it. Breaking it down into harmless components like it was doing regular metabolic work. Her kidneys were filtering out the byproducts. Her immune system had barely registered that anything was wrong. The toxin that should have shut down her nervous system had run into a biological brick wall and lost. "Humans have something called cytochrome P450 enzymes," I explained to Vorik later, pointing at the genetic markers. "They are metabolic enzymes that break down toxins. Most species have a few variants. Humans have 57 different ways to process poison." "Why would they need that many?" Vorik asked. "Because their planet keeps trying to kill them." I gestured at my data. Poisonous plants, venomous animals, toxic fungi, contaminated water, spoiled food. Humans evolved in an environment where everything was potentially lethal, so their bodies just learned to deal with it. They are walking detoxification factories. "That seems excessive," Vorik observed. "Everything about humans is excessive." I was definitely spiraling again, but I was past caring. Do you know they have an organ whose only job is to destroy old blood cells and filter toxins? It is called a liver. A whole organ, Vorik, dedicated to cleaning poison out of their system. Most species do that with their kidneys, but humans needed backup systems. My communicator chirped. Another message from Ellis. Please tell me nothing else has happened. I muttered. Dr. Velkrin, Miss Vance is asking if she can leave. She says she has plans tonight and does not want to miss her date. I looked at Vorik. She is going on a date. After drinking enough poison to kill 100 people, she is going on a date. Humans are terrifying, Vorik said. Humans are impossible, I corrected. I went back to the medical bay. Kira was indeed getting ready to leave, checking her appearance in a reflective surface and adjusting her hair. Miss Vance, I said, trying to sound authoritative. You were just exposed to a lethal toxin. I really think you should stay under observation for at least another few hours. I feel fine, she said, not for the first time. Better than fine, actually. That weird stomach feeling went away. I am all good. You drank poison, I said flatly. Yeah, but it did not do anything, right? So no harm? No foul? She grabbed her jacket. Besides, I already rescheduled once because of the snake thing. If I cancel again, Marcus is going to think I am not interested. Marcus, I repeated. My date. He works in hydroponics. Really nice guy. Grows these amazing tomatoes. She smiled. We are going to try that new restaurant on level 12. I watched her leave, feeling like my entire understanding of biology had been personally insulted. Dr. Velkrin, Ellis said quietly. What are we going to do? Do? I laughed, a slightly unhinged sound. We are going to document everything. We are going to write papers. We are going to revolutionize toxicology. And we are going to accept that humans are apparently immune to the concept of consequences. But the universe was not done teaching me lessons about humans. Because 2 days later, Kira came back to my lab. She was carrying a container and she looked annoyed. Hey doc, she said, setting the container on my workbench. I have got a situation and I need your help. I looked at the container. It was filled with a viscous green liquid that made my danger sensors scream. What is that? I asked, afraid of the answer. So you know how I have been helping out with maintenance in different sections, she said. Well, I was fixing a leak in the xenobiology wing, and I accidentally knocked over this tank thing. The stuff inside got all over me. I washed it off, obviously, but I wanted to check if it was dangerous. My scanner was already screaming before I pointed it at the container. The green liquid was a chemical compound from the restricted materials section. Corrosive. Toxic. Designed for industrial waste processing because it could dissolve organic matter in minutes. Miss Vance, I said very calmly. This substance could have dissolved your skin down to the bone. How much got on you? Like a gallon, maybe. It splashed pretty good, but I rinsed off in the decontamination shower, so it is fine. She paused. My skin felt tingly for a bit, but it went away. Tingly. Her skin felt tingly. Did you bring me this to analyze? I asked. No, I brought it because I drank some and wanted to make sure it was not going to be a problem. The room went very quiet. Vorik, who had been working at the next station, slowly turned around. You drank it, I said. Just a little bit. Like a sip. It got in my mouth when I was washing my face, and I swallowed it by accident. She looked embarrassed. Is that bad? I checked the chemical composition again. It was rated as fatal if swallowed. Causes severe burns, and do not under any circumstances ingest with multiple exclamation points in the safety documentation. How are you alive? I asked. Not rhetorically. I genuinely wanted to know. I keep telling you I feel fine, she said, exasperated. Look, I know I have had some weird incidents this week, but I am starting to think maybe your alien poisons are just not that strong. Not that strong. Not that strong. Miss Vance, I said. My translator probably rendering my tone as something like barely contained hysteria. In the past week you have survived a snake bite that kills in seconds, consumed a neurotoxin that has no antivenom, and apparently used industrial corrosive as mouthwash. At what point do you think this might be unusual? When you put it that way, it sounds dramatic, she said. But like I am here, I am healthy. Nothing bad happened. Maybe humans are just built different. Built different, I repeated. Built different. Vorik made a sound that the translator rendered as nervous laughter. Dr. Velkrin, perhaps you should sit down. I am fine, I snapped. Then I looked at Kira. Actually, no, I am not fine. Nothing is fine. You have single-handedly destroyed my understanding of toxicology. Do you know how many years I spent studying poisons? How many research papers I have published, all of it is meaningless now because apparently humans just do not care about being poisoned. That seems like an overreaction, Kara said. Hot sauce is delicious, Kira said defensively. It is poison. Literal poison. And you have competitions about it. I was definitely shouting now. What is wrong with your species? She turned to leave. And that is when everything went very, very wrong, because in her annoyance she bumped into my workstation. The one with the Scarlet fang serpent venom samples. The ones in the secure containment vessels that were definitely locked and sealed and absolutely should not have been knocked over. But Kira had the kind of bad luck that only humans seem to possess. The kind where the universe itself decides to test exactly how much chaos one person can cause. Her elbow hit the storage rack at exactly the wrong angle. The containers tilted, and one of them, just one, toppled off the shelf. I watched in slow motion as 47 milliliters of the most lethal venom in known space fell toward the floor. Time stretched. My life flashed before my eyes for the second time that week. Vorik screamed. The container hit the edge of the workbench and shattered. Venom sprayed everywhere. The floor, the walls, my equipment. And, because the universe has a truly terrible sense of humor, directly into Kira's open mouth. She had been turning back to apologize. Her mouth was open. The venom went in. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. We just stared at Kira, waiting for her to collapse, waiting for the neurotoxins to shut down her system, waiting for the inevitable. She swallowed. "Oh," she said, wiping her mouth. "That tastes even worse than the blue stuff. What is wrong with your poisons? Do they not have quality control?" I could not speak. My translator gave up and just started making static noises. "Miss Vance," Vorik managed. "You just consumed the venom. The concentrated venom. From the Scarlet fang serpent." "Yeah, I figured," she said. "Same snake as before, right?" She looked at me. "Am I going to need more blood tests?" "You." I struggled to form words. "You just." That was 47 milliliters. Concentrated. No dilution. "Is that a yes on the blood tests?" she asked. That is when I fainted. Actually fainted. Just collapsed right there in my own laboratory. Which, for a Quilax, is extremely embarrassing. We are supposed to be the stoic, professional species, but apparently watching a human casually survive enough venom to kill a small army was more than my nervous system could handle. When I woke up, I was in the medical bay. Again, Dr. Ellis was standing over me with a concerned expression. "You have been out for 20 minutes, he said. "How are you feeling?" "How is Kira?" I asked immediately. "Miss Vance is fine," Ellis said in the tone of someone who has accepted that reality no longer makes sense. "She is in the waiting room filling out incident reports. Her vitals are normal. She is complaining about the taste." "The taste," I repeated. Apparently the venom has a bitter aftertaste that is bothering her more than the actual, being poisoned part. I stared at the ceiling. Vorik was right. Humans are terrifying. "On the bright side," Ellis said, trying to be helpful. "Her blood is even more effective as an antivenom base now. We have enough samples to synthesize treatments for multiple toxins. She might have just saved thousands of lives." "She saved thousands of lives by accidentally drinking poison," I said. "Multiple times. That is the reality we live in now." "Welcome to working with humans," Ellis said sympathetically. "I have been doing it for years. You get used to it." "Sort of. Not really." Kira appeared in the doorway. "Hey, Doc. You okay? You went down pretty hard." "I am fine," I lied. "Just processing trauma." "Cool. So about those blood tests? How long are they going to take? Because I really need to make my date tonight. Marcus is making the special dinner thing and I do not want to miss it." I sat up slowly. "Miss Vance, you were just exposed to enough venom to kill everyone on this station. How can you possibly be thinking about dinner?" She shrugged. "Because I am hungry." The poison drinking worked up an appetite, and that, right there, summed up my entire experience with humans. Impossible biology, insane luck, zero survival instincts, and always, always hungry. I did the blood tests. They took an hour. Kira made her date. She and Marcus apparently had a lovely dinner, and she told him all about her weird week at work. He thought the poison stories were hilarious. Of course he did. He was human too. My research papers on human toxin resistance would eventually win 3 major scientific awards and revolutionize xenobiology. Kira's blood samples led to the development of 17 new antivenoms. The Galactic Health Coalition offered her a job as a test subject, which she politely declined because she had been promoted to senior maintenance technician and did not want to give up her benefits package. And me? I learned a very important lesson about humans. They are not invincible. They are not indestructible. They can be hurt and killed just like any other species. They just do not seem to have gotten the memo about it. 6 months later, I received a wedding invitation. Kira and Marcus were getting married on the observation deck. The invitation included a note, "Please bring Aunt Venom. Just in case. We are serving exotic foods." I went to the wedding. I brought Aunt Venom. I also brought a portable medical kit, 3 backup scanners, and Vorik for moral support. Everything went fine. Nobody was poisoned. The food was apparently delicious, though I stuck to the Quillex safe option, but I kept the medical kit close. Because with humans you never know when someone is going to accidentally drink something lethal and ask what happened. That is just life with humans. Terrifying, impossible, and never ever boring. And honestly, I would not have it any other way.